Did you introduce yourself? You did? Oh, okay. Thank you. PS, as you appear before the committee to assist in the deliberation before it, you are protected under Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia. This grants members of parliament immunity against prosecution for what they say while in the House. The same immunity is extended to you. This means that the information you release to this committee cannot be used against you outside Parliament or indeed in the courts of law. However, should you deliberately or willingly mislead or misinform the committee, the same law can be used against you. I have no doubt in my mind, however, that this will not be necessary, as you will choose to be factual and truthful in your submission. So, PS, you can do the submission. That's paragraph 18. 17.
Okay. Submission of the memorandum on the report of the Auditor General for the financial year ended 31st December 2022. Head 45, Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. Mandate. The Ministry is mandated to provide and facilitate the provision of equitable social protection services to communities in order to contribute to sustainable human development. Audit findings. An examination of accounting and other records at the Ministry headquarters and selected for stations for the financial year ended 31st December 2022 revealed the following. A. Budget, funding, and expenditure. In the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year ended 31st December 2022, a provision of 425,521,918 was made to cater for the operations of the ministry, against which amounts totaling 4,422,106,269 were released, resulting in an underfunding of 3,415,649. As at 31st December 2022, amounts totaling 4,202,550,607 had been spent, leaving a balance of 219,555,662. Controlling officer's response. Caused the underfunding amounting to 3,415,649 was due to a non-release of funding from the Treasury during the year under review. The reported unspent balances were in respect of running contracts for the purchase of farming inputs under the Food Security Pack, FSP, and other procurements across programs which fell off. In some cases, completion of the procurement process straddled to the 2023 financial years. Corrective action. The Ministry has continued engaging the Treasury, and the funding releases have since improved in the 2023 financial year. Documentary evidence, Appendix 1, Ledger for outstanding contracts. B. Operational matters, Food Security Pack program. The Food Security Pack FSP program targets the vulnerable but viable farming households and provides them with inputs to ensure food security and nutrition at household and community level. The beneficiaries are required to pay back 10% of their produce in kind, which promotes communities' food security grain bags. Once collected, the district officers are empowered to sell and deposit the funds in the recovery accounts, and the funds are applied on empowering the vulnerable households. During the period under review, the Ministry signed 21 contracts with various suppliers for the procurement of 2021-22 farming season inputs. See Table 1 below. Table 1 is the list of all the suppliers.
You can keep the table.
Okay. The following were observed. 1. Beneficiaries who collected farming inputs twice. Livingston District, Section number 2.3.1 of the Food Security Pack Guidelines requires that a single beneficiary is entitled to receive 1 pack. Contrary to the guideline, 19 beneficiaries in Livingstone District collected 2 packs each in the 2022-2023 farming season, costing 138,360 instead of kwacha, instead of single packs costing 69,100 kwacha. Controlling officer's response. The issuing officers allowed the beneficiaries in question to collect inputs on behalf of others who were unable to personally collect the pack at the material time of issuance due to various reasons. The omission to indicate the names of the eventual beneficiaries of the extra pack creates an impression that the beneficiaries who signed for the inputs benefited twice when in fact not. Corrective action. Management deeply regrets the aforementioned anomaly and has charged the issuing officers for not adhering to the FSP guidelines by allowing the beneficiaries to record their details twice in the manual registers instead of indicating the names of the receiving beneficiaries. Documentary evidence, Appendix 2, charge letters. 2. The failure to secure title deeds, skills training centers. Section 41(4) of the Public Finance Management Act number 1 of 2018 requires controlling officers to ensure that all public properties have their charge under their charge are secured with title deeds. Contrary to the Act, 11 parcels of land on which various properties for the skills training centers and colleges are located were not secured with title deeds. Further, a review of the management meeting minutes dated 11th January 2022 revealed that there was an encroachment of land at Katete Skills Center where 16 houses were built. Controlling officers' response. Cause, there's been a delay in issuing title deeds for the properties in question by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Corrective action. It is considered as evidence from the management meetings that this matter has protracted despite the ministry having taken the necessary procedural steps to facilitate acquisition of the title deeds for the institutions falling under its portfolio mandate since the year 2019. In this regard, survey diagrams, lease documents, and other requisite fees were paid as earlier explained, but the title deeds have not been processed except for Solwezi Skills Training Center. Therefore, a follow-up letter was written to the Ministry of Lands Permanent Secretary seeking intervention in the matter, which is beyond the control of the ministry. On the other hand, the Procurement Act of 2020 states a contract, purchase order, letter of bid acceptance, or other communication in any form conveying acceptance of a bid or award of contract shall not be issued prior to any other approvals required, including clearance of the contract by the Treasury and the legal advice of the Attorney General. A review of the minutes of the first Ministerial Procurement Committee meeting held on 1st February 2022 revealed that the committee granted authority to the Director, Human Resource and Administration, HRA, to award a contract to Magnum Security Services for the provision of security services for a period of 3 months, 30th March 2022 to 30th June 2022, upon obtaining a no objection from the Zambia Public Procurement Authority at a contract sum of 61,248 kwacha. On 31st March 2022, the Ministry entered into a contract with Magnum Security Services for a period of 3 months from 24th March 2022 to 24th June 2022 for provision of security services at the Ministry headquarters. It was, however, observed that after the contract expired on 24th June 2022, the security company continued to provide security services to the ministry without a contract, and amounts totaling 98,000 were paid between 10th October 2022 and 14th December 2022. Controlling officers' response. The cause? The continuance of service provision post the 3 months contract awarded to Magnum Security Services was a temporal measure to avert exposing the ministry's installations and assets to potential security risks in the intervening period before contracting a new security service provider on a long-term basis. In this regard, the process regrettably delayed in that it became imperative for the ministry to engage state security wings to conduct a comprehensive security vulnerability assessment, whose recommendations were to be incorporated in the terms of reference for the security services that were to be procured. Corrective action. The current status is that the services by Magnum Security Service were terminated, and the ministry has since contracted a new security service provider. The respective officer has been charged for negligence of duty. Documentary evidence, termination letter to Magnum, contract for new company, and charge letter, Appendix 4. Head 18, paragraph 18, Head 45, Ministry of Community Development and Social Services, implementation of social cash transfer program. Mandate: the ministry is mandated to provide and facilitate the provision of equitable social protection services to communities in order to contribute to sustainable human development. Audit findings: an examination of accounting and other relevant records maintained at ministry headquarters and selected stations for the financial year ended 31st December 2022 revealed the following. A. Budget, funding, and expenditure. In the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year ended 31st December 2022, a provision of 2,031,811,005 was meant to cater for the implementation of the social cash transfer program, and the whole amount was released. As at 31st December 2022, amounts totaling 1,569,220,782 had been spent, leaving a balance of 462,590,223. Controlling officers' response. Cause: I would bring to your attention that the funds amounting to 394,649,550.96 kwacha were received towards the end of the 2022 financial year in December. Corrective action: these funds were spent in the January-February 2023 social cash transfer payment cycle. Documentary evidence referred to Appendix 5 for funding slip from the Ministry of Finance for December. B. Operational matters, administration of social cash transfer. The ministry has been implementing the cash transfer scheme, SCT, in all the districts across the country with the objective of reducing extreme poverty and vulnerability at household level. Further, the program aims to contribute towards the increase in the number of households having a second meal per day and promote household food security. There are two categories of beneficiaries under the program, namely the vulnerable and the disabled, who receive 400 kwacha and 800 kwacha per payment cycle respectively. That's bi-monthly. During the period under review, the ministry had 1,027,000 beneficiaries for social cash transfer program. The following were observed. 1.
Order. You skip this one, you go to 2 on page 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Failure to deduct and remit NEMA contributions. Regulation 9 of the National Health Insurance General Regulation of 2019 stipulates that an employer or self-employed citizen or established resident should pay to the scheme contribution consisting of employers' and employees' contributions at the rate set out in the third schedule. During the period under review, the Ministry paid total basic salaries of 12,422,228 to contractual workers managing the social cash transfer. However, it was observed that the Ministry did not deduct and remit a total amount of 248,845 kwacha as NEMA contributions. Controlling Officer's response: cause, the oversight is deeply regrettable in not having taken into account the operation of the law, NEMA, in the contracts for the staff in question employed under the World Bank. Corrective action: management has since effected NEMA statutory deduction and evidence is available for audit verification. Documentary evidence referred to Appendix 7, July 2023 payroll for contractual workers, electronic funds transfer for payment of NEMA, NEMA receipts and staff contracts for contractual workers. 3. Implementation of social cash transfer at district level. Irregular inclusion of civil servants as SCT beneficiary. During the period under review, 2 civil servants from Luwingu district were included as SCT beneficiaries and irregularly drew amounts totaling 7,200 kwacha. Controlling Officer's response: the audit observation is noted. Upon verification of the query, management noted that the 2 beneficiaries were retired civil servants who had fallen into vulnerability and had met the social cash transfer enrollment eligibility criteria to be placed on the program. Documentary evidence, Appendix 8, there is the letter of retirement for the local court messenger and general worker. Delayed banking of van collector transfers. Section 5.4H and 1 of the Social Cash Transfer Guidelines of 2018 requires that all uncollected transfers are deposited in the transfers account at the bank and that the PayPoint managers, PPMs, should retire the cash within a period of 1 month. Contrary to the guideline, there were delays for periods ranging from 30 to 306 days in depositing amounts totaling 380,165 kwacha that was not collected by the beneficiaries in 6 districts in Muchinga and Western provinces. See Table 1 below. Controlling Officer's response. Cause: management has since verbally warned the erring officers for not ensuring that the PayPoint managers, PPMs, retire the uncollected funds within the stipulated time frame provided for in the Social Cash Transfer Guidelines. In the case of Mongu and Nalolo, the delay was as a result of changes regarding PayPoint managers prior to the payment of the bi-monthly transfers. Corrective action: going forward, the Ministry is in the process of implementing digital payments directly to beneficiaries in order to avoid a recurrence of such queries. Unauthorized payments. Regulation 53 of the Public Financial Management General Regulations 2020 states, an office order processing a manual or electronic payment shall indicate on the payment voucher the authority against which expenditure is being incurred, the warrant number, the memorandum or minutes, and the written law authorizing the expenditure. Contrary to the regulation, 3 payment vouchers in amounts totaling 22,280 kwacha processed at Nalolo District Social Welfare Office during the period under review were not authorized by the sub-warrant holder. Cause. Controlling Officer's response: cause. The cited vouchers number 004043, 004055, and 004058 were actually duly approved. The documentary evidence, Appendix 9, we have copies of the payment vouchers. and accounted for fuel impress, Kalomo District. The Cabinet Office Circular number B7 of 2012 and number B23 of 2012 stipulate that fuel for government transport, which is required to take officers for official business outside the district boundary, be paid using the prescribed formula. Contrary to the circular, fuel impressed in amounts totaling 52,756 kwacha was paid using the prescribed formula to 3 officers to take officers for official business within the district. In addition, 872.88 liters of fuel costing 23,889 kwacha was withdrawn from the institution pool account held with a local filling station for the same activity. In this regard, the utilization of funds in amounts totaling 52,756 kwacha was questionable, as the activities on which the funds were spent could not be established. Controlling Officer's response. There was no segregation of duties at the district office. Corrective action, management has charged the erring officers. Documentary evidence, Appendix 10, charge letters, and the letter for recovery of funds. Payments to suppliers without tax clearance certificates. Section 89(1) of the Public Procurement Act number 8 of 2020 stipulates that a bidder is eligible to participate in a procurement if he is licensed, in good standing with the professional body to which he is aligned where applicable, and has fulfilled his obligation to pay taxes and social security contributions. Contrary to the Act, Mongu District Social Welfare Office procured goods and services in amounts totaling 20,280 from a supplier who did not submit a tax clearance certificate from the Zambia Revenue Authority. Controlling Officer's response cause. At the time of the audit, Mongu Hostels Board was using the TPIN for its headquarters. Corrective action. ZRA has now provided the TPIN for Mongu Hostels Board. Refer to Appendix 11, letter from the Hostels Board of Management, TPIN and TPIN certificate. C. Implementation of Food Security Pack, FSP, at district level. As part of the government's efforts to reduce the levels of poverty in vulnerable households found predominantly in the rural and remote areas, the government introduced Food Security Pack Program, FSP, in 2000. The program initially was aimed at assisting farmer households who had suffered negative effects of limited access to inputs and market due to economic liberalization, as well as the erosion of resource base due to recurrent droughts and floods. In 2006, the FSP program target criteria was redefined with the focus on the vulnerable but viable farmer households and include nutrition as part of the service. The listing of the potential poor and vulnerable but viable beneficiary farmer households is done by the satellite committees, the Community Welfare Assistance Committees, the CWACs. The list has to be approved through Community Participatory Wealth Ranking or Self-Community Validation and the District Food Security Committee. Beneficiaries on the approved list are expected to receive food security packs, and the combination in the packs or items, quantities, volumes, and unit weights may vary from one season to the other depending on the availability of resources and needs. The FSP requires beneficiaries to pay back a part or 10% of their harvest in kind or cash equivalent, which promotes communities' food security grain bags. Once collected, the district officers are empowered to sell and deposit the funds in the recovery accounts maintained in the districts. The funds are to be applied for such similar undertakings of empowering vulnerable households to enable them achieve food security and community development programs. See Table 2 below. The following were observed. 1. Maize seed, Senga Hill. Senga district was allocated to receive a total of 2,123 by 10 kg bags of maize seed to cover the 2,123 beneficiaries. However, a review of delivery notes and FSP reports revealed that the district only received 2,108 by 10 kg bags of maize seed, resulting in a shortage of 15 bags. In this regard, 15 beneficiaries did not receive maize seed. Controlling officer's response: management regrets the under-delivery of 15 bags of maize during the 2022 to 2023 farming season. Corrective action: in this regard, the officer in charge of Senga Hill who failed to report the under-delivery to management has since been charged for negligence of duty and has been disallowed from performance of the duties of the District Community Development Officer. Additionally, the supplier was engaged and has since delivered the 15 by 10 kg maize seed. Documentary evidence, Appendix 12, charge letter, transfer letter, and goods received notes and delivery notes. Number 2, unaccounted for excess bean seed, Senga Hill. A review of documents such as FSP reports revealed that Senga district had been allocated a total of 1,123 by 10 kg bags of bean seed costing 477,575. A scrutiny of goods received vouchers and delivery notes revealed that the districts received 1,638 by 10 kg of seed costing 706,750 kwacha, resulting in an excess of 515 bags of seeds costing 229,175. An examination of the FSP register and physical inspection showed that 1,123 by 10 kg bags had been distributed to the farmers, leaving a balance of 515 costing 229,175 kwacha. The undistributed bags were unaccounted for in that they were neither acquitted for nor found in the storage facility. Controlling officer's response: cause: the excess 515 bags of beans delivered was an oversight on the part of the supplier. Corrective action: the supplier was subsequently informed to retrieve the consignment at his own expense. The supplier has since collected the bags of beans. Documentary evidence, Appendix 13, letter to the supplier and goods issued note, GIN to Daniel Tembo, General Dealers, and GINs, and letter from supplier confirming receipt of the beans. 3. Irregular distribution of food security packs, Northern Province. During the period under review, Senga and Nsama community development officers received agriculture inputs for 4,246 authorized beneficiaries for 2021-2022 farming season. However, a scrutiny of the authorized beneficiary caseload revealed that NRCs for 12 beneficiaries had been duplicated, rendering the distribution of the FSP inputs to the said beneficiaries irregular. See Table 3 below. Controlling officer's response: a beneficiary in Nsama registered in 2 neighboring CWACs and subsequently collected the inputs in question. However, the current status is that management has since recovered the monetary value of the inputs. The deposit slips are available for audit verification. In the case of Senga Hill, management has instituted further investigations into the matter. Corrective action: the current status is that management has since recovered the monetary value of the inputs. The deposit slips are available for audit verification. Documentary evidence, Appendix 14, deposit slips. This is what for. 4. Delay in distribution of inputs, Lundazi District. During the period under review, Lundazi District Community Development Office delayed distributing farming inputs they had received on behalf of the beneficiaries to the satellite committees by periods ranging from 21 to 61 days. The delays in distribution could have had a negative impact on the beneficiaries' yield. See Table 4 below. Controlling Officer's response was the inputs were distributed within the planting season, taking into account the delayed rainfall pattern and consultations with the agriculture extension officers in the district. Appendix 15 is the report from the Meteorological Department. 5. FSP beneficiaries sharing the same national registration card numbers. In paragraph 27 of the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of the Republic for the financial year ended 31st December 2021, mention was made on beneficiaries using the same national registration cards in 9 districts: Ndola, Kitwe, Masaiti, Kabwe, Serenje, Mukushi, Chifunabuli, Sikongo, and Choma. In response, the controlling officer submitted that the anomaly was due to the duplication in the issuance of national registration cards, as well as human errors in the Manual Food Security Pack Program, FSP registration system. The ministry engaged the Department of National Registration to help resolve cases of duplicate national registration cards affecting the cited recipients. In addition, the ministry has since secured financial and technical support from its cooperating partners to develop and implement a computerized FSP management information system which would facilitate effective management of beneficiary data. An audit of the 2022 accounts revealed that despite the controlling officer's assurance to the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, that there were 238 beneficiaries in 6 other districts who had different names but sharing the same NRCs and were entitled to be paid amounts totaling 468,043 kwacha. However, they were instead paid 935,640 kwacha due to duplication of NRC numbers, resulting in an overpayment of 467,598 kwacha. See Table 5 below. As at 30th June 2023, the anomalies had not been corrected. Controlling officer's response was, the anomaly of shared NRCs among beneficiaries is a matter of great concern and requires national-wide efforts to rectify. In this regard, the ministry engaged the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security for intervention, and the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security has since furnished a comprehensive report confirming the existence of collusion in the national registration card system. However, you may wish to note that the beneficiaries in question are different persons duly enrolled on the program and could not be disadvantaged on account of shared NRCs for reasons beyond their circumstances, beyond their control. Corrective action. Going forward, management is in the process of developing an electronic management information system for the administration of the FSP program. Documentary evidence, Appendix 16, comprehensive report from the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. 6. Questionable beneficiaries with duplicate NRCs. A scrutiny of the caseload for Senga, Nsama, and Porokoso food security pack beneficiaries revealed that 72 beneficiaries had duplicate NRCs, which made it impossible to determine the identity of the said beneficiaries. See Table 6 below. Controlling officer's response was, the difference in the NRC numbers between the soft copy and the manual registers were due to human typing errors. You may wish to note that the data on the approved list was manually typed in Microsoft Excel format from the actual hard copy beneficiaries' acquittal sheets. Corrective action. Going forward, management has developed an electronic management information system for the management of the FSP program. Documentary evidence, Appendix 17, corrected registers and scanned copies of NRCs. 7. Under collection of agricultural produce. Section number 2.2.2 of the FSP Guidelines 2019 stipulates that benefiting farmers are expected to pay back 10% or part or 10% equivalent of their produce to be deposited in a community storage facility. This is in line with the consideration that inputs initially given to farmers are a conditional grant and the conditions need to be adhered to. The paybacks or recoveries can also be received in the form of cash or produce. A review of the 2021-2022 farming season recoveries report revealed that beneficiaries from 12 stations with expected recovery amounts of 12,299,384 kwacha paid back 6,184,518 kwacha, leaving a balance of 6,114,866 kwacha and recovered as of 31st July 2023. See Table 7 below. Controlling Officer's response cause: management submits that recoveries are based on crop performance. As a result, forecasted outputs may not necessarily be realized for various reasons, including rainfall patterns, floods and droughts, pests and soil quality, and overall crop management. In this respect, the districts are in receipt of crop performance reports from Ministry of Agriculture, including poor crop performance there, making it difficult for the communities to meet their recovery targets, as that would lead to food insecurity. As a result, the communities did not meet their collection targets to implement their own desired projects. Corrective action to be ensured. Documentary evidence, Appendix 18, FSP Area Yield Index Report. 8. And accounted for inputs, Chinsali District. During the period under review, the district received from the ministry farming inputs comprising compound D and urea fertilizer, maize, beans, and soya beans seeds costing 8,158,097 kwacha. However, scrutiny of the disposal records revealed that farming inputs costing 6,506,057 kwacha were acquitted for, leaving farming inputs costing 1,658,040 kwacha unaccounted for, in that there was no disposal record to show how the inputs were distributed. Controlling Officer's response. Management's investigation reviews that there was an error when recording the inputs issued by our officer, and management has since charged and cautioned the officer for negligence in duty. Attached is a copy of the charge sheet and recommendation for disciplinary actions against the officer. Corrective actions. The committee may wish to note that the inputs have since been acquitted for, and documents are available for the auditor's verification. Further, the correct quantities of inputs were issued to the rightful beneficiaries, and management regrets the occurrence and assures the auditors that it will not reoccur. Documentary evidence, Appendix 19, charge letter and acquittal sheets. 9. Irregular inclusion of Farmer Input Support Program, FISP beneficiaries to FSP program. The government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, introduced the Farmer Input Support Program FISP in 2022, which was aimed at improving access of small-scale farmers to inputs and enhancing the participation and competitiveness of the private sector in the supply and timely distribution of agricultural inputs in adequate amounts. In an effort to sustain the Food Security Pact, FSP, the FSP Guideline number 2.8 requires the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock, and Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry to engage each other to give special preference to the poor and vulnerable farmer groups for continuous development. In this regard, upon selection of FSP farmer on the program, the beneficiary will be supported to join cooperatives or farmer groups and ensure that at the end of 2 farming seasons, the beneficiary households meet the requirements necessary to access the Farmer Input Support Program services. A comparison of data regarding beneficiaries on FSP and FSIP revealed that during the 2021-2022 farming season, 2,153 farmer members who collected inputs costing 7,268,410 kwacha from the FSP also collected fertilizer and seeds under the FSP program, FSIP, resulting in accruing double benefits. See Table 8 below. The implication is that the vulnerable people who should have benefited from the 2 programs were deprived of their assistance. Controlling Officer's response: inputs under the Food Security Pack, FSP, were distributed much earlier than those under the Food Input Support Program, FSIP. In this regard, it may be noted that some district community development officers wrote to their counterparts, the district agriculture coordinators, submitting their FSP register for screening against the FSIP register. Further, it may be noted that the FSP system, which is manual, and the FSIP system are not integrated. Corrective action: the ministry has developed an electronic FSP management information system. In addition, a social registry is being developed through a government-wide database in order to enhance coordination in the provision of social services across various ministries and government agencies. The current status is that the concerned beneficiaries have since been removed from the FSP program. Documentary evidence, Appendix 20. The soft copy of the updated FSP database has been submitted to the committee. 10. Unaccounted for stores. Public Stores Regulation number 16 requires that every stores officer or any other officer having in his charge any public stores or other articles of public property should keep and maintain record of the receipts and issue of such public stores. Contrary to the regulation, fuel costing 7,000 kwacha was procured at Senga Hill District Social Welfare Office during the period under review, was not accounted for in that there were no receipt and disposal details. Controlling Officer's response: management wishes to submit that the receipts are available for audit verification. Appendix 21, receipts and disposal details. I submit.
Thank you, PS, for your submission, and good morning together with your team. Honorable colleagues, that's a submission from the PS, Community Development and Social Services. So proceed with our questioning and clarifications. So we'll start with budget, funding and expenditure in that order. Yes, Honorable Daka. Yes. Honorable Luma, you can proceed while Honorable Daka's mic is being worked on.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know what has happened to the spirits of Chadiza. They have tampered with the mics in the committee. Mr. Chairman, I want to draw the attention of the PS to A, budget, funding and expenditure. Mr. Chairman, the query before this committee on A, while the ministry was funded close to 98%, Mr. Chairman, they still remained with a balance of 219 million. And I expected the controlling officer and the team to help this committee understand as to why they could not spend this amount, but they have gone to tell this committee about the unreleased funds. So what I want to understand from the PS is what was the reason behind not spending the 219, especially that, Mr. Chairman, social cash transfer beneficiaries in Chavuma and Nalolo want this money like no man's business. Mr. Chairman, I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Daka, maybe you can use Honorable Olungu's mic if it's working. There's nothing. You can talk from there. It won't reach. Okay. Honorable Daka, you can proceed.
Chair, it's a preliminary matter. Yes. Appendix 20 was submitted to us in the form of a soft form. Now we wonder how we are going to.
Thank you. I think some honorable members can shift maybe this side, those two seats, if they are still working on those mics, so that we can make some progress. Okay. Once they fix you'll be back. Secretariat, you've received the soft copies. Have they been printed?
You can use it.
No, can use it.
You have not received. PS, who's circulated the soft copies? Maybe you can just highlight on that, so that if they've been circulated, they can be printed.
Mutinta, do you have the flash with you? Yes, you do.
Okay. Thank you. Secretariat, let's have those soft copies printed. Auditor General can look at them, then they can be circulated to the members. Yes, so then we can proceed. Honorable Daka, that issue be looked at. They'll be printed, the Auditor General will check them, then they can be circulated for the members. Any question on A, budget, funding and expenditure? PS, you can proceed with Honorable Lumai's question. Thank you.
This 219 million that was left as a balance was due to the amounts it was already spent according to our records. These were suppliers of inputs, farming inputs, and unfortunately the deliveries had not yet been completed by the end of the financial year. And then we also had procurement of other assets for the FSP program. That is what has contributed to this amount appearing. And so it was mopped back in December, but it was since returned so that we could meet the obligations because we had already signed contracts with suppliers.
Honorable Mwila, I have a question on the next item. Okay, proceed. You can proceed on the next item if there's no question on the budget and funding.
Thank you, Chair. My question is on, the beneficiaries who collected twice. So I wanted to find out that what evidence was there first of all? Sorry? On page 3. It's reported that the beneficiaries collected, farming inputs twice.
Okay. Livingston District.
Livingston District.
Can proceed.
Yes. So what evidence did they submit to the officers that in fact they are not collecting for themselves but as proxies? And further also, was there confirmation that the eventual beneficiaries actually got these items? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other question? If not, PS, you can proceed.
The 19 beneficiaries have since Livingstone office and confirmed that the actual beneficiaries have been spoken to. They've confirmed that the actual beneficiaries did get the inputs, and they've even signed affidavits to say that they got the inputs. I submit.
Honorable Mfarari, then Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Chair. Controlling officer, you are saying the people that benefited are the actual people that should have benefited, not otherwise.
Thank you, Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Chairperson. Controlling officer, this is a committee of facts. We don't speculate. You have alluded to, or you have submitted that it's in fact the actual beneficiaries, the targeted beneficiaries that received these inputs, and they signed affidavits. Are you in a position to submit these affidavits before this committee? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Lumai.
Mr. Chairman, maybe in addition to Honorable Dak and Honorable Mfalari, I want to understand regarding the same query. Why was the query not dropped at the time of audit if we had these affidavits? And were these affidavits done after the audit or was it before? And further, Mr. Chairperson, I just also wanted to get a response from Auditor General regarding the unspent 219 million which was mopped back, whether that was the correct position found at the ministry. I submit, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you. PS, you can answer the two questions, and the three questions, then when you finish, Auditor General will give a clarification on that matter which has been raised by the Honorable Member. PS, you can proceed.
We do know, like, the beneficiaries from the officers. So the officers have been able to confirm that these were the correct people who got the benefits, the food security packs. On the affidavits, we do have them available. They were not ready at the time of the verification, and one of the challenges is that we are actually present to the sub-district level and have over 155,000 points that we are operating from. So sometimes moving documents, it may not be as simple as it seems, but on the whole thing we are very sorry that they were not available. On the affidavit, why was this not dropped? I think the Auditor Generals will speak to that, but on our part, we just want to apologize that we did not get the affidavits to them in time. And the affidavits were prepared immediately. It was raised that these seemingly were being issued these 19 beneficiaries were seemingly being issued double packages. I submit.
Honorable Mfarari.
Thank you, Chair. Now, so if this was corrected as you have put it, which looks like it was just an oversight by the... Why are we charging the officer who was, or the officers that were handling these, if this was corrected even earlier on?
The charge is not adhering to the FSC
Sorry, PS, I'll advise you when to speak. You can wait. Any other clarification? Honorable...
On the same.
Okay.
According to the letter, the letters, if you have really charged these officers, there is only a letter that is coming from the district community development officer. There is no response showing that this matter is active, and Yeah, I think it's just one letter that was written to the officer to exculpate, according to what you have given us, Appendix 2. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. You can switch off the mic. Honorable Lumai, you wanted to clarify something?
Yeah, Mr. Chairperson, it would appear we find ourselves at the Atlantic Ocean because we are told there were reasons as to why the 19 beneficiaries had their inputs gotten on their behalf by other individuals. There were various reasons. But now arriving at an affidavit, Mr. Chairperson, to collect farming inputs, it means maybe someone is bedridden at home, he's failing to walk, then that person is assisted to go to court, get an affidavit, then give it to an individual to go and collect on his behalf. So, and like Honorable Mfalali has stated, that Appendix 2 is not talking to the affidavit. I thought that maybe the ministry can help the committee clear this query by giving us responses which are factual, because now we appear to be at sea. Because the response we are told is it was because of other reasons. Now we are told there's an issue of an affidavit.
Thank you. Maybe before PS comes in, no, PS, you can proceed on those two issues. Then Auditor General, you come on the other issue which was raised. So PS, you can proceed.
Honorable Mufalali, the officers were charged because they did not adhere to the FSP guidelines, meaning that as we are now going round, if those beneficiaries were not available for various reasons, what we are now dealing with should have been handled right there and then. But unfortunately it was not, and that's why affidavits were being done after the fact. So that is why they charge. What's the other? The disciplinary process is actually active. The human resource function has been devolved to the provinces. So this action is actually being done through the provincial HR committee. We have spoken to the PS and for Southern Province, and these actions are active.
Thank you. Maybe just to add on what the honorable colleagues are asking, there's an issue of an affidavit. Yeah. How then do you ascertain as a ministry that the actual beneficiaries received these farming inputs after whoever signed an affidavit and collected on their behalf? Maybe just to, you can take note that question, then Auditor General can clarify the issue before we proceed.
Chair, the Director Community Development will respond to that.
Okay, let Auditor General first clarify that issue.
Chair, I believe it's the issue to do with the balance, the 219. We audited the financial statements, and Chair, procedurally, we issued DAP to confirm the facts. So at the point we were auditing, that was the position. But perhaps this reasoning which they are giving to say maybe there are those contracts which were not paid yet, we need to verify. But at the point when we issued, that was the correct position, that there was this balance, and which was confirmed. So we are yet to verify I think the facts that are being given now.
Thank you. PS, is that question you say the Director Community Development to answer. Where is the Director Community Development? You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. At the time that we were queried regarding the 19 beneficiaries that had been who collected the inputs, we had sent our provincial office to go and verify with an auditor and our senior community development officer in Southern Province, who's in charge of the FSP. Upon going to the places, the CWACs and the wards where they were distributing these, they went and spoke to the beneficiaries who were supposed to have received the inputs, and they agreed that they had received the inputs. Those are the people who were made to sign to agree that indeed they had received the inputs. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation. I hope you have documentary evidence to that effect to show that yes, there was that interaction. As you are aware, we work on evidence and not hearsay or speculation. So I hope Director Community Development to provide us with that documentation from through the PS. PS, I want to find out from your Director Finance, I don't know if your Director Finance is here, that for the 200 million, can we have the contracts for those 200 million which were still outstanding be provided, the names of the companies or the contracts to that effect, so that Auditor General can also have a sight of that as we proceed. Honorable colleagues, we can proceed. Follow-up questions, Honorable Mwila.
We are proceeding, Chair. Thank you, Chair. The issue to do with the title deeds for skills training centers, page 3 going to page 4. So I wanted to find out, land has already been encroached in Katete, at Katete Skills Center, 16 houses built. What action is the ministry taking to reclaim this land? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Daka, you can proceed.
Chair, we are wondering as a committee, 16 illegal structures built on a government piece of land. And Chair, these things don't just come overnight, that all the 16 can just start building. Government officers, of course, they saw one structure, mushrooming, the second one, third, up to 16. No action to protect government land. Controlling officer, where were your officers when these illegal settlers were constructing these structures? We want to know, why didn't they take affirmative action? Why didn't they protect government land when it was early enough? Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 had, when we had only 1 or 2, 3 structures. Why did they allow a situation where up to 16 illegal structures had to be constructed? That's when you realize that they are encroachments. I submit, Chairperson.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed and answer those 2 questions.
Currently, we have not commenced any action outside trying to get the title deeds. And of course, what we are doing with our establishments is then just putting up a wall fence to protect the boundaries, like we've done at Chikumbi and Mazabuka. The officers that were there when these buildings were done, it will be possible to respond maybe when we go back and see when they were completed, because those houses have now been standing for quite a number of years, and then started from that. You have actually helped us with a new route of questioning that we can follow. I submit.
Honorable Mnyuma.
Chair, just to understand PS, where was the entire ministry when 16 houses were built? Where were they? Were they in limbo? I mean, we want to understand. Was there an agreement to allow this? Because 16 is too much. 16 houses built and the officers were somewhere. Where were they to allow this?
Thank you. And just also building up from Honorable Mnyuma's question, PS, those 16 houses, have you ascertained the owners, who they are in society, where they're emanating from, who issued any paper, form of paper or document for them to be on that piece of land, and where they were drawing the authority to that effect? Because I think you need to build up a case, and also trying to find out who gave them, who came to demarcate, so that you can follow that issue to the latter. Honorable Daka.
Chair, just to add, controlling officer, what is the status? Do they, that we refer to be illegal settlers, do they have, sometimes we may be referring them to be illegal settlers now when they've even acquired title. So are you aware about the status of these structures or these properties? Chair, I submit.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed.
I just want to say that the committee has opened up a new avenue that we are going to follow up and be able to give you a response. Because according to our records, we do not know who the owners of these houses are, and we have not investigated it since we got this audit query. But we're definitely going to follow it up and be able to make a comprehensive report to the House, to the committee. Sorry, I submit.
Honorable colleagues, I beg that we adjourn. You can have your tea while they work on these IT issues. Thank you so much. PS, I've lifted the immunity. You can proceed. Honorable colleagues, have tea. Then once they fix, then we can resume the meeting. Thank you.
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
All up a ground, if I did it, I will love you the same, baby. compulsion.